My guy, Kevin.
What's up?
Kevito. Little Kevin.
I'm the marketing guy, the ads, the funnels, the customer journey, the messaging, the copy guy on the team.
He's the little big brother, is what I'll call you. Yeah, my man. Tell me a little bit about you, dude. What's your backstory? I know we met in June, or we met in May, and met through a mutual friend, one of your clients. And I want to know, dude, where'd you come from?
Oh, wow. So I'm originally from the Midwest, from a small town about 10 miles east of Madison, Wisconsin. And growing up, I had a great upbringing in a lot of ways. I lived in a very stable home. I had two very stable parents. And so I was very grateful to have that beginning, because I know a lot of people are not fortunate enough to have that on the way up, especially parents that gave me a lot of skills and traits and allowed me to believe in myself. And like growing up, my whole thing was, my parents, literally their philosophy was, we are going to make fun of you so bad that when you go to school, nobody will outdo us. That was their logic.
We're going to traumatize you into winning.
Yes. But it worked, because it was like,
the irony.
I always knew that, they're like, we love you, of course, but like, this is how we're going to show our love to you in terms of making fun of you, because I don't know if they were ahead of the curve or if they read books about this, but it seemed like they knew what was coming in terms of, now everybody these days seems like everything is so soft. Everything is offensive now. Everybody's got a problem with everything that you say. And it's like, my ideas, it feels like today my ideas or the things that I say are inextricably linked to me as a person. But I think like we have ideas and they can change. And just because I subscribe to a belief once or for a period of time doesn't mean that that is my identity.
Yeah.
I have certain things I hold very close to me. Like the habits and the traits that I've built from bodybuilding and all the things that I've done, like those are inextricably linked to me as my character. But, you might have a take on a situation and it's like, why does that have to be, I'm banished to now thinking of that for the rest of my life? And it's like, I don't know. So they taught me that at a young age. I would say we had a similar experience with how I grew up with my dad. So it was my dad was tough on me in a lot of different ways, mainly with all the little things that I would have to do around the house. And, everything was very regimented. Like Saturday mornings, got up, he would go to the store and I would be expected to clean the whole house, like behind the toilet, up under the toilet seat, everything, vacuum every square inch. And like, if I didn't get that done by the time his car rolled in the driveway, like bad things were going to happen. And so I think a lot of that growing up made me a very angry kid, because I was a little bit resentful of, you have the stories of like, why me? Why does this have to happen? Does anybody else deal with this? And you're developing like 13-year-old boy, and you're kind of always in that fight or flight. School doesn't necessarily feel safe. Home doesn't necessarily feel safe. So that was the catalyst for, and I already had like a very super type A personality. If you ask my mom, growing up, like I wanted to do chores at the age of 5. Like I was always the I do it kid. Like, don't help me, I get pissed at you. Like, let me struggle through it. So I think that experience was the catalyst for why I am the way that I am today, which is like extreme urgency to make things happen now. Like this perpetual crushing feeling of I don't have time and I need to get going now. And that always like forward looking of cool, I've achieved. So one of my favorite shows is Suits. It's like my top show. And Harvey has a quote where he says, I don't have dreams, I have goals. And it's like, I think of that so much, because the second I achieve something, it's always on to the next, which is a good and a bad thing. You achieve more, I believe, than if you did it the other way. But you have to be very intentional about taking time to look back and appreciate the things you said would make you happy. Yeah. So that was kind of how things got started. And then I was pushed into football at a very young age. So I played football for about 10 years. And, flag football, pee wee football, all that sort of stuff. And that's when I got my first taste of winning. Like I discovered what it meant to be a winner, because first year, 5th grade, undefeated, won the championship. 6th grade, we had one loss on our record, won the championship. So I'm rolling into 7th grade. I'm thinking I'm king shit. Lost one game in my whole career. And then we lost like 4 games, 7th grade. And then we lost like 5 games in 8th grade. And we lost like 6 games. We lost all but 3 in my freshman year, and then we ended up getting blown out. We didn't even make the playoffs that year. I think we lost every game but one. It was horrible. And it came to a point where I really, the turning point for me was December 17th of 2016. That was the turning point for me because I was like, I am so tired of losing because of other people's efforts. I fucking cannot take it anymore. Because I would see my teammates half-ass training, half-ass eating, half-ass practice. I go on the field of 11. I'm one man of 11. I can't win the game. I need your help. And so I had noticed this like decline in progress. And so I was like super frustrated with the whole thing. And then we were doing, because it was my freshman year in high school, it's like things are way more serious now. Like you're kind of starting to grow into your man body a little bit. I was like 14 or 15 at the time, 14. I was 2 months away from turning 15. And off-season training, they're like, yeah, we're going to get in the weight room. I was like, okay, cool. I hadn't done this like whole weights thing before, which sounds so crazy to say because I've been training 5 days a week for the majority of my life at this point. So to think back at a time where I wasn't training is wild. But yeah, I didn't know what weightlifting was at the time. So I was like, all right, let's get into this. And I was immediately hooked probably within 3 weeks. Now, I will say I have the genetics to be very good at it. So my hard work is amplified by my genetics. It shows more than maybe somebody else. And that's to my own discredit of like, yeah, I put in a lot of work, but also I have the genetic propensity to show it a little bit more than other people. There's certainly people with better genetics than I, but I would say I have very good genetics for what I do. I mentioned that is because I got so good so fast, and it quickly became my brand. And I was like, I was the meathead guy in school. I was, where's the gym? Got to eat a meal. Like that was me within like 4 months. And so I got really hooked on it and ended up quitting football for 2 years. I'm like, I'm done with football. I'm going all in on weightlifting. I'm going to get as strong as possible. And then that quickly progressed. I think my sophomore year, I left sophomore year, about 125 pounds, came back 197. Or no. I put on like 20 pounds that summer. And that was the first time everybody's like, what happened to you? I come back for like the start of sophomore year and everybody's like, what did you do? And then during the first 3 years of lifting, I put on like 70 or 75 pounds. I went from 120-ish to 197. Yeah. And I was like, and I was like 17 years old. I was humongous, benching 315 pounds. Like I can't even do that today. And I was like all strength focused. And then I set the goal of competing one day. I'm like, I want to step on stage. I want to be a bodybuilder. Like I have the build for this. Like it's already my brand. I want to go all in on this and give this a shot. So I ended up going back to football now that I was big. And had a great senior year. Don't regret that at all. Made so many core memories with everybody I grew up playing with. And then graduated high school after that. And then obviously COVID hit. School was a whole crazy thing. I ended up attending University of Wisconsin-Madison. I was originally a chemical engineer, then switched to civil engineer, then switched to biochemist because I realized I hated math. And I liked chemistry and biology way more than I liked chemistry and math. So I switched. I became a biochem major and picked up a double major in nutritional science. And it was around that time that I picked up that double major where I competed in my first bodybuilding show, which was a really like kind of off the cuff thing. I hired a coach who's actually pretty well known. His name's Kyle Wilkes. He worked with a couple of the influencers that were coming up at that time. And so I was watching them on YouTube and I'm like, cool, I'm gonna hire that guy. You know what I mean? Like, whatever I was thinking at the time. But I was like, cool, I'm gonna hire this guy. He's gonna get me in shape. I'm gonna win. It's gonna be awesome. So I remember going through that first prep and I got on stage. And long story short, ended up winning the overall at that show. It was 11 guys in my class. I won 11 guys total in classic physique, 6 tall, 5 short. I won the shorts, and then I beat the guy who won the talls. So I won the overall, my very first show. And I didn't even know how to pose right. I remember I was on stage, and everybody would do their side poses, and I would turn to the front when they would say relax. And the promoter runs up back to me at like the halftime intermission of the show. He goes, "You've never done this before." I go, "How do you know?" I go, "You're right, I haven't." Because you're screwing up all your poses. Like you have these 4 poses, you're doing completely wrong. Stop doing that. It's like, okay. But ended up winning unanimously the overall. And I was like, okay, cool. So I can mess up a lot of stuff and still do really well. And immediately from then I was hooked. I was like, cool. I just won my first show and it was a big show and there was actually some good guys there. And then that kind of sent me on this path of I can see how far I can go with this. And so 2020, I started making fitness content. So I competed July of 21. I started making YouTube videos in my basement about fitness in June of 2020, so about a year before. And I was like, my first video went viral. It went like 150,000 views on a brand new YouTube channel, which is super viral for a YouTube channel, right? Like TikTok, you can get 500,000 views, million views pretty easily on like some random video. But like a long form, 8-minute iPhone on the windowsill, raw dog, no editing, freaking 150K views. I'm like, wow. I mean, a thumbnail in MS Paint. I was like, this is great. But yeah, and then that kind of like, I was like, I think I can really do this fitness thing. Because after seeing that and then winning my first show, I'm like, dude, I got this in the bag. So switched on my majors. I'm like, I'm going all in. I'm going to be the most decorated 22-year-old that comes out of college that there's ever been, right? I'm going to have multiple shows under my belt. I'm going to be a natural pro. I'm going to have 2 degrees. Like, I'm going to have a YouTube channel with popping content. Like, that was my plan. Fast forward, I ended up doing 2 more shows in 2023. Placed okay at those. Wasn't super happy with my look there. And then kept working through college. I graduate in 2024, and I guess I'm skipping a little over, but in 2022. So I graduated college in August of 24. In September of 22, I had worked as a mover for the whole summer, 4 months in a row. And I was like, I want to take a shot at starting a business because I was making content, but I wasn't making money. So I was like, I was lifting. I'd been training at this point for like 6 years. So I had a pretty good physique. And I was like, I want to start making money from this, but I need capital to take a shot because I was paying for my college at the time. So I was paying for all my living expenses, paying for all my schooling. And I was like, I'm getting out debt free. I'm not taking out student loans. I'm not doing that. It's just like, it was a decision that was not on the table for me, right? Even though all my peers were. So I worked as a mover, making like $35 an hour. And what I would do is I'd get up at 5 in the morning. I'd pack all my meals. I'd show up to work by 7. I'd move from 7 to about 7. And then I would go train. So I'd train legs after moving for 12 hours in the 100-degree sun. I would train bodybuilding 5 days a week, go to bed, do it again. Did that for a whole summer, saved up like 25 grand. I'm like, this is my nut to go take a shot at starting a business. So I partnered up with one of my buddies, Nathan. I met him on Instagram and I'm like, let's start a business together. It's like, cool. So we both get into this fitness thing. And he basically was from Chicago and he would train people in person. And I mean, if you've ever been to the north side of Chicago, like the Evanston area, dummy money. Insane. Like the moms there will pay $200 a session, $150 a session just to talk with you. It's crazy. So we're like, I was 20 at the time. He's 22 at the time. We're making $150 an hour training people. I'm like, and I don't even live in Chicago. I don't live in the same state as him. So I'm like, this is awesome, right? I was making like $4 grand a month, working like 5 hours a week out of my college dorm room. I was like, this is great, So that was my first like transportation into business. And I did that for a couple years, but I quickly realized that I didn't like fitness. Because fitness is like one of the hardest sales ever because you have to get people to do a lot of shit they hate. They have to give up a lot of things they love and they got to wait multiple years. Want to sign up? You know what I mean? Like now, granted, once you make it through that period, it is legitimately one of the best things you can have. And that's like been the anchor of ever since I can remember because I don't have 10 years ago feels like so long because that's almost half my life. So I don't remember what it's not like to be fitness focused. I totally have forgotten that. But when you're happy with how you look in your purest form, which is like no clothes on, in the mirror, you are happy with that. There's a level of confidence and security that comes with that can never be bought or covered up with a car, with clothes, with status, with who you are, with the penthouse you live in. Doesn't matter. If you have that core belief in yourself, it's like nothing else. Like that is worth everything.
Yeah.
So granted, it's hard to get, but again, that's why you have like immediate clout with other people who don't have it because it's immediately recognizable. Every human understands what it's like or understands the work that goes into it to get to that level. And so it's a mutual experience we all have shared with each other as human beings who have like, everybody wants to look amazing. It's just about whether or not the price is worth what you get, right? And I would argue that, people who don't see it's worth the trade and they're like, it's not worth it to get in shape. Like you just haven't experienced what it's like to actually be in shape because if I could snap my fingers and make you in shape, you would do anything you could to keep it is what I would bet. But, to each their own. So then I quickly found out that with fitness, I was more of a babysitter than a coach. And at this point, remember, I had 2 degrees in this. Like I had studied this. I had competed 3 times. I'd been training for 7 years. Like I knew my stuff. And so I'm like, I quickly found out the best coach didn't win. The best marketer won. Like the best marketer got the most clients, even if they were the worst coach. I'm like, this is fucked. I'm like, wait. So I just went to college. I got 2 degrees for 80 grand. I competed on stage multiple seasons. I had been training for 7 years and none of that really mattered. The guy down the street who like made a better pitch than me is getting more money. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, this is bullshit. So what I decided to do about that was I invested like $15,000 into a coaching mastermind. Now, mind you, I live by myself. I am paying for my college. And so I had to like swing this 15 grand to join this thing. And I was like, this was the thing. I'm like, this has gotta work, you know? Long story short, I ended up making no money from that. Everything flopped. No, I got nothing out of that.
Grifter.
Yeah. I got nothing out of that. Now, what I did get out of it was skills.
Yeah.
And I met people.
Yeah.
And one of the people that I met was the person that you met at Acquisition. That's how I met her, was at that conference. Because after that, I was like, okay, so I realized that the best coach doesn't win, the best marketer does. And then I tried to join a group to become a better marketer. And the promise that they had made to me was, I completely fell short. And it's not like I didn't try either. Like I would come into these coaching calls every single week, and person A, who some other random person in the group would be like, oh, my ads aren't working. And they'd be like, okay, pull up your ads manager. How many ads have you made? And they're like, oh, 2. And then I'm like, I'm next in line. I'm like, hey, my ads aren't working. I'm like, okay, pull up your ads manager. How have you made? I'm like, 18. I'm like, I'm 10xing everybody else in the group and it's not working. It's like, it's not a lack of effort.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was like, I kind of threw the towel in on that and I was like, okay, that didn't work. So long story short, I ended up taking all this and I'm like, I think I have a knack for marketing. Like I just, the way the math works and the psychology and all that stuff. And then if I can help people in the health industry, because I'm really passionate about health, I'm like, oh, maybe there's something here. So started the agency that I ran for a couple of years, and it was just me as like a solopreneur and like freelancer basically. And I started learning a lot more, started investing in more courses. You know, I've probably spent like $30,000 to $35,000 on like the alternative education outside of all the stuff in college. And then fast forward to 2024, I sold. When I say I sold my business, like there was nothing really to sell. It was basically the systems I had put up to run it without me, as well as the customer list, and sold the rights to the customers. So I think that was around like $20,000. But to me, as like a 20-something-year-old, I'm like, that was a lot of money for me, you know? Yeah. And then that gave me the confidence to then move out to Vegas, which I did 5 months after that. And I was like, I'm going all in on this agency thing. And then, last year I decided to do, because I wasn't done with bodybuilding as like a hobby. I was done with it as a business. But I'm like, this is such a core part of me. And so I did an 11-month prep from February of 25 to end of November of 2025. And I did 8 shows and traveled over 12,000 miles. And I did a show in every single corner of the continent or on the country besides Florida. So I did 2 shows in Seattle. I did 1 in LA. I did 4 in Vegas, and I did 1 in New York. Over like a 5-month period. And I competed on some of the biggest amateur stages. I mean, I did the Amateur Olympia. I did WNBF Worlds, which is the Super Bowl of natural bodybuilding. And it was funny because I turned pro in the WNBF. I competed as a pro to qualify for Worlds and then competed in Worlds as a pro all in the same year. Speed ran that. And then pretty much just left it all in the tank. Because I was like, I want to go all out on this year, that if I were to never step on stage again, I would be happy with what I had achieved. And now it's like settling into what we're doing with the marketing stuff. It is the opportunity of a lifetime, because I feel like working with creators is so fulfilling, because you have a person that you know can help people.
Yeah.
And you're really just the bridge between that creator and their audience. And being able to provide that is incredibly fulfilling, because you're able to see the direct impact of your work.
Yeah. Because
when I go in and I remind myself, I'm like, I might see 157 leads that have converted at a 32.8% conversion rate at a $6.78 cost per lead. But I'm like, those are actually like real people though.
Yeah.
That have all like opted in, and we're going to send them to this amazing thing where they're going to get a ton of value, and then we're going to make them an offer. And then we get to make money and live cool lives, and they get helped and they get solutions to their problems. I'm like, everybody wins here.
Yeah.
Like, what is the drawback? And so that's what brings me here today. And I guess I'll just end off with one quick thing, which is, I think the biggest thread through the whole story was being able to be okay being lonely at times, and just continuing to double down on investing in me, whether it was time, energy, or money. And those two things are very important skills, because the game of entrepreneurship is like, if I told you to start sprinting, and I'm going to tell you when you can stop. And you're like, how fast are you going to run when the distance is unknown? And just being able to like wrestle with that mentally, I think that's why so many people aren't cut out for it, and that's totally okay. And then I think that's why people don't get it. And they're like, well, why are you doing all this? And it's like, it's like the one ride mentality. It's like, I'm going to die either way, and none of this is going to mean anything. So it's like, why not make it epic in case it does mean something?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, goes back to the whole like life worth living thing. But yeah, I think that was something I learned really early on, was doubling down on me and being able to continue to do things without an immediate reward has really set me up in a really good position. And I will say that a lot of luck has played into it, certainly. But at the end of the day, like, opportunities present themselves to those who present themselves. And so you have to go out there and take shots on goal, and the ball will bounce your way at some point. It's just about getting enough reps to the point where you have so much volume that you're inevitably going to get a hit.
Yeah.
And if I told you that if you had to hear no 200 times, or if you had to fail 200 times, here's the best analogy. Everybody wants to get views who creates online. Everybody's like obsessed with followers and likes. So if I said your 100th video is guaranteed to go viral, 100% guaranteed, how fast would you make the first 99?
Immediately.
Exactly. But like, that's almost guaranteed to happen. If you make enough videos, you will have one that pops.
Yeah.
So knowing that, get your ass in gear and start making videos.
Yeah.
But for some reason we wait. I know why it is. It's uncertainty. But all the upside in anything you do is in uncertainty. The person who leans into uncertainty the most is the person who has the most to gain. And just like reminding myself of that has been very exciting as we lean into everything that we're doing. It's like, cool. I see a pocket of uncertainty. I'm like, I'm going to dive headfirst into that shit, because I know that nobody else is willing to do that. And that's why I'm going to come out on top. And so luck, again, certainly plays a role in part of it, but it's also being able to recognize these pockets of uncertainty and dive into them, knowing that it's going to come my way sometimes, and sometimes it's not. And I got to be able to weather the storm. And it certainly has, with, investing the 15 grand in that coaching program, completely blew up in my face, pivoted, started a second business. That's why I'm sitting in this room today.
Yeah.
Because it's like, everybody wants guarantees. Everybody wants to make sure that things are going to work for them. But it's like, your only guarantee is how you show up. And like, when I join a program, I don't care what their testimonials are, because I'm like, they're not me. And I know that I'm going to show up, and I'm going to find a way to make this work.
Yeah.